Hey everybody,
Hello, hello.
welcome back to Monday Night Mythbusters. I'm Dr. Carolyn George, and this is Leslie Harrington, Transformational Coach.
Hello, guys.
And we are coming at you tonight from a different room. We thought we'd give you a little bit different venue. So this is the exam room, and this is the view that we have when we're doing an exam. And of course we have blinds that we can close, but really people don't generally walk over here. But it's a nice, calming, resting view to help bring people from that fight or flight mode into the rest, digest, and restore. Anything over water with nature generally is very calming.
We're going to do a show of a tour of the office sometime, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll just walk
we do
around
the
with
IVs
it.
and stuff.
Yeah, we'll maybe do that. So,
Anyways,
we just wanted to give you a little bit different perspective tonight as we're talking about some of our favorite apps, podcasts, websites, and just some of the technology that we use to make our lives better, and hopefully it can help make your lives better.
yes, and we'd love for you to jump in and share what you guys use, because a lot of us, like, collectively probably have some pretty cool tools.
Right.
So,
I
very
bet
excited.
you we'll learn something tonight.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Actually, I hope some of my, the old faithfuls that join every week that come on, because they have tons of great ideas. I learn every week.
Right.
There's one
yeah.
of them. Hi,
There's
Kristen.
Nick and Kristen. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. So we're going to categorize, right?
Yes,
We're
we're
kind of
gonna-
going to start, so we're trying to flow it because we're like, we have so many that
Right.
we want to share. So we're going to go through kind of different types, like sleep devices, things like that.
Right.
And then we'll go through, and then at the end, anything we forgot, we'll just
We'll
mash up in there.
we'll bring together. So we're, you want to start with the nutrition piece, seeing as that's kind of where
Yeah.
we often start? Okay, so some of our favorite nutrition apps are ones that can help people with weight loss. So for example, Lose It, and you had a few others.
MyFitnessPal is a common one.
Yes.
Those two have pretty strong databases, meaning that they rely on the data that people input. So a lot of people scanning different foods or barcodes, a lot of people manually entering in different nutrients for each type of food. So those I find have like the most, you don't have to like go crazy searching for things. So
Right.
the other thing is it saves your history. So if you eat kind of similar foods, then all you have to do is kind of go back and put in there. I do ask most everybody to log at some point in our relationship to kind of get an idea of where they're at and where they're going and where they want to go, and kind of like connect those dots together. But Lose It is a great one for that. I find it really user
It
friendly.
makes things so easy. So like, for
Yes.
example, my oatmeal, I put all kinds of things in it. So I just had to do that once, and then it will automatically, when I'm logging in for breakfast, it'll just show me the oatmeal with all the same things, and maybe that day I'd run out of my flax or something like that. So then you can just remove that piece. It makes it just super, super easy.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend time doing that.
No, and it's free. So a lot of people go, oh, I didn't get the free. It'll pop up and ask you to join a premium like most apps. But the one that you need for the purposes of just general information is free.
login,
it
yeah.
does allow, it breaks down the nutritional content.
Yes.
So we're not just looking at macros, you're looking at the fiber and the sugar. And
Yeah.
we know I ask people to try to keep their fiber up to a certain amount and their sugar below a certain amount. So it's a really comprehensive tool to be able to monitor that. And most of the people don't know where to look for that. So once you're in it, then they kind of really get into it, So
Right.
it definitely is great visibility.
And it can be shared with your health coach or your doctor or whoever.
Yes, and there's teams and little things that they do that
Mhm.
kind of jazz up the fun of it. If you want to share other recipes with people, you can build your own recipes in there.
Yeah.
So it's a really
That's
cool
fun.
tool.
What other ones do you have down?
For food, I have Yumly.
Mhm.
So Yumly is an app, but it's also Yumly.com. It's YUMMLY, and what it is it's a customized recipe place.
Yes.
You can go in there and say, well, I can't have dairy, and I can't have this particular food, or I can't have gluten, or I can't have this, and then it turns around and it spits out recipes with your restrictions and only your preferences. So it's really good for people who have a lot of food sensitivities
Right,
and
yes.
to kind of get creative and be able to find some things,
Absolutely. And we've got Vinny joining us, and he said, drink water, the #1 underutilized tool. And absolutely, it's not a technology. It's
Although,
simple. It's straightforward.
Let's talk about the hydrate bottle.
Okay, we can.
So
That's
Vinny
a
mentions how
great
important
opportunity.
water is. I was on this kick. I think I gave everyone a hydrate bottle for
Mhm,
Christmas.
mhm.
The hydrate bottle is actually, it is technology. It has an app, and it's a bottle. It's BPA free, and it's got a light inside of it, and it's you sync it up to your phone, and the light will flash when it's
To
time
remind
for you
you,
to drink.
right?
To
So you're
remind
sitting
you to
there and
drink.
you're working, and all of a sudden you get this flash in your face.
Hey,
Oh,
Barb,
yes, I better.
she made it.
She made it.
Yeah, it's really cool because it tells you when you're gonna, when you're behind or you
Yeah.
haven't had enough, and it'll tell you how many ounces you're at and how much water you're
Yeah.
actually drinking for the day. So
And
for
then it
people
feeds
who,
back to your phone.
yes,
Yeah.
and your phone will send you these really cute messages if you choose. They don't have to, but if you sign up for the messages, it'll be like you're starting to look like a cactus, and it sends like these funny little things. But I have friends that I've always been pretty good about hydration. Friends who haven't been, that have gone from like drinking nothing to like getting one or two of those whole full bottles.
Yeah,
And so it's a really, really cool little app, and it's a nice bottle.
Yes. So yeah, there's your water. Other food ones that I like are Thrive for purchasing food. It's great for dry goods. They give you good deals. There is an annual subscription fee, but it's not bad. And then you get a lot of things that they just mail to you, so it makes shopping so much easier. Of course,
It's, ThriveMarkets, I think, .com.
Yeah.
ThriveMarket.com.
Is it Thrive Market or just?
I think it's the one. I don't think it has the S on the end.
Okay.
But they have a cool story too. The annual fee goes to a charity,
Mm-hmm.
and then they also will allow for someone who maybe can't afford the fee.
Yeah.
They'll put that money towards somebody and allow someone to use that. So it's like saving money, because the stuff that you buy at Whole Foods, as far as like your home goods, your skincare, your coconut oils, the things that you can buy that aren't fresh produce and stuff, it's like moons underneath. But the other one I like is Vitacost.com.
Mm-hmm.
Vitacost, VITACOST.com. And that one is like, it's just got anything and everything you can imagine. There's a little more of like the gluten-free and like the snacky type things on there.
Yeah.
That's good and bad. You don't want to make those a staple, but you can sprinkle them in there here and there. And they have some quality supplements on there, going with the rule of thumb of, GMP certified and, NSF stamped. So,
Right, so those are some options. And then in terms of food that's pre-made or halfway made, that kind of make you easy.
oh, for delivery.
Deliveries. I love
I've been on
HelloFresh
the hunt for this.
and Sunbasket.
Okay, so
Sunbasket's
Sunbasket is cooked or not cooked?
Not cooked and
Okay.
organic.
Yeah, I'm still kind of playing around. There's a new one called Factor 75 that I've looked
Heard that
at.
one.
There's so many more national ones now that I've seen. I sent quite a few actually to a couple people recently that had some good clean options that are really diabetic friendly. They're
Yeah.
gluten-free friendly. They're vegan friendly. They kind of have all different options there. So food delivery locally.
Yeah, local is always the best if you can find somebody locally.
Yeah.
But if not, these companies can at least keep you from eating out at restaurants or eating crap, eating garbage, right?
Mhm,
Fast food
mhm.
stuff or stuff that's frozen and not healthy. They can be frozen and healthy, but they can also be frozen and not healthy. So, obviously always do the best you can in any situation. But I really find, like for college students, for me some weeks when things are crazy,
Yes.
to have everything there that I don't need to think about what I'm going to have. I've thought about it before and ordered it, and it's just all there. I just chop it up and cook it. And
Yeah.
it's actually quite tasty.
There's a thing that I did for a while, and I'm just me, so it was I had a lot of leftover. It was called MyOrganicFoodClub.com, and it's basically like a farmer's market,
Okay.
and they bring you your fresh produce. So each week they have like a menu that you choose from,
Right?
and they have, you could very specific. You can get pretty narrowed down into your preferences and stuff. But fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits, and they give you this huge box. I mean, it's like a huge box. And I did the numbers like item to item, and you do save pretty substantially over going to Whole Foods, and then the convenience of not having to go out and things like that. They put it right on your doorstep. They put ice packs and stuff like that. They'll deliver it to your work. I wouldn't recommend that because the box is humongous. So if you don't have anywhere to put it at work,
Yeah, it can be a
don't do
problem.
it.
Yeah.
But that was a really good one that I did for a while. And the other, if you're looking at like juice, there's the one called My Organic Juice.
Yes. Yeah,
And
that
they're very
sounds-
good too. But the dating on juice, remember, it's
It
like
has
2
to be,
days.
you have to
like,
drink it.
you don't order too many because you'll end up throwing them away.
Right.
And it's
Yeah, I've done
expensive.
that actually, and then I
Yeah,
throw it
me
away.
too. I've done it repeatedly.
And then for fresh, farm fresh produce, FreshLifeOrganics.com. Fresh Life Organics. And you can, they set you up, there's a kind of a basic list that they'll give you depending on if you want a small box, a large box, you want just fruit, just vegetables, or combination. And then they will tell you when they've posted their list of what's available that week, and then you can switch things out. Say you've had too much kale that week and you want to get spaghetti squash
And like
or
a
something.
deadline to make your customizations.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do that, and I love that. And they're very accommodating. Jessica has been really helpful in terms of kind of if there's any problems with the food, you know, if something comes bruised or something.
That's a big deal to have the good customer service.
Oh,
because
she's
when you
great.
get stuck and you don't have good communication, it's like it really is bad. It's hard to deal with.
Right. No, she's very, very accommodating. She always makes things right. So those are kind of some of my tricks for what to eat.
I've heard a lot about, and I personally have not tried this, but every single podcast I listen to, every single health professional that I've encountered that are eating organic grass-fed, they're doing ButcherBox.
Oh, yes.
So ButcherBox is a delivery for like really super clean source of your animal protein. So you look at meats and, you know, a hormone for pasture-raised chickens and stuff like that. Okay. So for that it would be, obviously I think it's frozen prepared. It's got to be previously frozen. Yeah. So
for sure.
Yeah, so food, I think
we exhausted
I
food.
did have Pinterest for recipes.
Oh, yeah.
I have Pinterest. You can go on and just, you know, type in healthy or clean different style recipes or whatever.
And
oodles.
Yeah,
Oodles and oodles and oodles.
With
and
pictures.
and you want to have kind of the eye, because just because you put in healthy doesn't mean it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to sift through it and either replace ingredients or, you know, make things that are going to be a little more custom to your style. But they have, you can't go wrong anywhere with Pinterest.
Mm-hmm.
So, food.
So those are good. Yeah.
Done.
Now, what about, actually, let's do this because let's do the mindfulness, meditation, restorative thing, because that's going to take us a few minutes to go through.
Yeah, so
we have lots of
really
favorites.
good. Well, and the reason we're spending time on this is because it's really important.
Yeah.
And there's so many different ways to kind of to learn how to make it to your liking. Because so many, I every day, I can't meditate. I don't do it well. I'm not good at it.
Right.
It doesn't work for me. I
yeah,
can't stop my thoughts. All these things, and you're not meant to try to stop your thoughts. It's like asking your heart to stop beating. And you need to really just be able to understand that a very little bit of being mindful and present and breathing can go a very long way. Yeah. And the first thing I would say is just stop judging yourself and judging the process.
Yes.
So it's
just be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not right or wrong. There's no like, you're not being graded, you know, and it's the little thing that you don't necessarily feel the immediate outcome, but you know, you're going to feel it in your real life later when your body's under stress and you've trained your brain to adapt and
you've
to cope with
created
that.
a new default mode.
Yes.
You know, you drive to work every day, but if you get a new job, you've got to think about the directions that you've got to go to drive to that job. But as you do it over time, you just then shift, right? So your way of dealing with stress is going to be your default, and if you go down that rabbit hole and worry about everything and what people are thinking and what are you going to do and what if this happens and that happens, the other thing happens, that's your current default. But the more you do the meditation, the mindfulness, the breathing, that then becomes your default. So when something stressful happens, you don't go down that rabbit hole, you just
your brain
breathe.
is going to start to autocorrect.
Right, it's just autocorrects. And so it's something you need to do every day, consistently.
Yes.
It's got to be a go-to. If it's 2 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour, doesn't matter, but you've got to do it every day.
Yeah, and there's lots of helpful ways to do that.
Lots of helpful ways to do that.
Some of them you probably have all heard of, and others maybe not. I don't have. I actually loaned it to somebody. The Muse headband. So Muse is a headband that goes around here. It hooks behind your ears, and it's an EEG technology. Right. So it actually is measuring your brain waves, and it tells you kind of when you're in that calm state.
So and this is so cool. So it kind of measures that theta wave. Okay, so when you get into the mode and you're starting to shift and your brain is starting to slow down, then it starts to give you the chirping of birds. And when your mind wanders and you start to think about something, the birds go away. So
and the thunder comes in.
And the thunder comes in, right?
Yeah.
So this is awesome because really the point of meditation is to figure out when your mind has wandered, right? Everybody's mind will wander. But those that get really good at it recognize that their mind has wandered quicker than those that don't. And Muse is awesome because it helps you to recognize that. So with repetition, you start to really tune in. Oh yeah, my mind is water. Let me bring it back. Again, without judgment.
Yeah.
Bring it back and go back to your breathing or your chanting or your whatever your focus is. It can be a word, a mantra, but you just need to come back to that.
And it's measuring both things. It's measuring how long you can stay present with the birds and how, being in the theta state. It's also measuring redirects. So at the end, you get like a little scorecard. And you get, I just got done saying you're not being graded. On this one, you'd get how many birds that you're actually have heard in that session. And then after that, you get a redirect. It'll say basically, so some people who are very calm by nature, they might be not have a heart. Like I did it one time with a girl who, she's very weird. And I'm over here like, I heard a lot of birds, but I didn't redirect well.
Okay.
So once I got distracted, I had a hard time reeling myself back in. Whereas she was very like calm and not distracted very much, but she didn't hear a lot of birds because she didn't get into that deeper state.
Gotcha.
So it's really cool. And what it does, for me, it was a beginner tool. It kind of worked me into, okay, now I don't feel like I rely on this thing anymore. Now I can start to use other tools. I found guided meditation. So guided meditation is another type that I find to be just super, super it's interesting. Your mind goes, your imagination's wild. So it's someone basically walks you through a scene or something. I use a podcast for that, which is called Tune Into You podcast. There's another one called Meditation Minis too.
Okay, yeah.
So we probably should talk about what a podcast is. A lot of people have a hard time with podcasts.
Right.
Kristen says thanks for the reminder. I know she has them used also, and I know at one point she was using it pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So podcasts. So they're like little short shows that you can have at will, right? You just kind of tune in and you can scroll through the different lists. And generally people that are creating these little podcasts will do one once a week or once a month or some kind of regularity. And they'll give you different topics and then you can listen to it.
Any possible topic you have interest
All kinds, yeah. So we've got a whole bunch of lists of different podcasts that we like, which we'll give you shortly.
And the meditation one I just mentioned happens to be a podcast.
Yeah.
So there's Tune Into You is one of them, and then the
and
other
is it
one is
into
affirmations.
IN and then the number 2 or
it's
TWO?
Tune Into You, like get in tune with yourself. So it's TUNEINTOYOU, and it's all words.
Okay.
We can make a list of these maybe and put them on
Yeah,
the
we can
website
always
after,
put them
I
on.
think.
Yeah, we can post
Yeah.
them.
So the Tune Into You, and then what were the okay? So back to the meditation stuff. So we went off into podcast for a second. So what do you have for?
I have got one called Inner Balance from HeartMath. HeartMath is another one I love because it uses your breath to redirect you and bring you back to the present. And there is just a ton of research on this. They have been using it all over the place. They're using it for PTSD, for veterans from the various wars. They are actually starting to teach some of the soldiers this technology before they go out. And they have been finding that people have less PTSD when they're really mindful about what they're doing.
Yeah, because they have to stay calm in really uncomfortable situations.
Exactly.
And that's really what
especially
they're practicing
like sharpshooters and things like that. They know that they're killing somebody, so they want to make sure that they're doing it thoughtfully and kind of staying calm and not just reacting to the wrong person that they could potentially hurt.
What's cool about this is it clips on your ear, and this one's actually measuring your heart rate, right?
Right. So this is looking at your heart rate variability. So your heart rate should not always be even. It needs to change with your breath. And so what it does, you connect this to your phone, and then on your phone,
it's called Inner Balance.
Yeah, it's called Inner Balance. And then you'll get something like this that will kind of show you if you're in the green, that's the more desirable, the blue is less, the red is less, and it will again kind of let you know how well you're doing. And when you're doing it, for example, I'm going to show you back here. Yeah, I'm going to go over here to this one. So it gives you like a mandala, and you breathe in and out to this. And so it's hard to do while I'm talking, but you can kind of see it moving a little bit out and then a little bit in.
And it's just picked up your rate.
It's picked up my heart rate there at the top. And then
and
it
you
will
want
give
to
me a
follow
color.
the mandala
And
your breath.
Right, in and out. And then and as you're doing that, your heart rate starts to get more variable, and I should be getting a color here soon, but
And you want your heart rate to remain somewhat consistent, right? Is that the...
yeah,
that's
you
what
don't,
they're-
you want the inconsistency, the variable to be consistent. Okay, so there I was getting green with some good heart rate variability, and then I'm talking, and so it goes blue.
Now this you have to actually purchase the earpiece.
Yeah, you've got to purchase the earpiece, and that costs about $100. Then they have little pictures here, and as you can scroll through, you can do it just like with the mandala I showed you, or the more you get into what they call entrainment, where your heart rate is doing that variability, then you start to get colors to your picture. It starts off black and white, and you can build up colors. And then you can go to, this is what's called the advanced screen, and here you're just looking at this little ball that goes back and forth here, and you're just breathing in and out to that. So that gives you some ideas. So you can play
Very
with that.
cool.
So that's very cool, and lots of research. Like I say, it's not expensive, it's easy to do. You can take it with you any place. There are more complicated ones that you can get that you do on your computer, but you don't need the complicated. You can just do this, and it will, remind you if you ask it to, and you can do just 5 minutes a day. I mean, and if you can't find 5 minutes a day to help for your health, then you have to seriously consider how you're spending your time. Are you doing the things that are benefiting your longevity, your mental health, your physical health, right? 5 minutes, right? Go to the bathroom, hide from people if you need to, right?
Totally.
But do something, and this is just such an easy thing to do. So that's
I
heart math.
have another fun one, but this is good for like airplanes and...
Oh yeah.
This is an app that's called Recolor, and it's an adult coloring book app, right? So you get these little blank screens. So you might have something like that with just a blank outline, and then you go and you have to really detail get in there. And obviously there's actually adult coloring books that you can handwrite in too. I like this one just because it happened to be on my phone, and I didn't have a coloring book with me, so I did all these fun little paintings on the thing. The app itself, if you look up top there, it's that little flower. So that little flower, it's called Recolor. So that is one that is very meditative because you're very present. They say with the coloring books, that's something that's really good for your brain. It's stimulating both sides of your brain. The other one, which I wish I brought, and I apologize, I meant to, is a mindful breathing necklace.
Oh, yeah,
I actually got this. It's also good for traveling too, because especially when you get delays and stuff like that.
Right.
It's called Komuso.com. Komuso. It looks like kind of like a designer whistle looking thing, but it's pretty and it's long and narrow. And when you breathe in it, when you go to exhale, you exhale into this device and it slows down the exhale. It basically elongates it, and it, not in theory, truly resets the vagus nerve. So it's helping that longer breath. It's a mindful practice. If you're sitting there blowing into something, you're paying attention to your breath, right? So you're present. So that is another little tool that I thought was fun, and it's super stylish. You know what I mean? Marianne asked if we're going to have a list, so we need to have a
we will put a list up afterwards. We'll write it all out for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a great one. And then kind of on the same thought of what you do on the airplane, Headspace. So Headspace is an app that you can get on your phone. It's free initially. He does a whole bunch of 10-minute mindfulness experiences that are free. And then if you like that, you can move on into his longer ones, and then he just charges a membership fee. I think it's like $8 a month.
I think it's like 10 days free, and then...
But they also have this on airplanes. Almost every airplane that you go on now, if you go to the audio section and we want to listen to things, there's music, but there's also comedy, and there's also Headspace. And he's got a lot of a mindfulness looking at the anxiety with flying, delays and flights, and all of the chaos that's associated with our flying nowadays.
Yeah.
So, and that's free, and it's awesome. He has this fabulous accent. He's Australian.
Yeah, he's got a nice...
I love his accent, yeah. And he's got great little graphics, so if you get him on your phone, you've got like little stick people that do things, and he talks about them. I find a lot of 20-somethings, kids in their 20s, millennials, really gravitate to his style. So it's useful for all ages.
Because he's very relaxed about it. It was one of my first ones that I tried too. So I've tried them all, and now I kind of have my own thing, you know,
Right.
but it took a while to get there. You know, sometimes you find what you have. Actually, Barb, that would be great for flying anxiety.
Yep.
To find one of these tools. And actually, the breathing necklace for me was
Mhm.
helpful on the airplane. I did it a lot on the airplane the last trip that I took, and it was like a West Coast trip, so it was like
Okay,
a long trip.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, but the apps for sure.
Yeah, apps for sure.
Um,
Then simple ones, Calm. Everybody has access to Calm. It's
Yeah.
free, it's easy, they're guided meditations, there's hundreds of them. And you can have them in a variety of lengths
yeah,
and different
there's no
voices.
shortage of
There's no
meditation
shortage,
options out there.
Right? And
anymore.
you listen to them, you try to follow what they're asking you to do. Either you're visualizing something or you're breathing a certain way. And that, again, always helps bring you from that fight or flight mode into the rest, digest, and restore.
Yeah, and 80% of chronic disease and illness is associated with stress.
Yep.
So it's the coming. It's not woo woo anymore for people to,
No.
you know. And
There's
we
too
used to
much
imagine
study,
like
yeah.
the whole, you know, sitting cross-legged and it has to be a certain way, and it doesn't. You have to find a way to integrate it into today's world because today's world is just not what the
chaotic,
old norm
yeah.
used to be, right?
Right?
So we have I want to make sure we cover sleep before we get into
Okay,
our little
let's do sleep.
so sleep, we talk a lot about sleep, and my favorite app for sleep is the Sleep Cycle, and it looks like this little alarm clock here, this orange alarm clock. It is free, and it will ask you if you want to purchase more, and you don't need to. For the first like 4 or 5 days, it does calibration, so it basically kind of gets into your rhythm,
Mhm.
and then it starts giving you feedback.
Now, do you
But
have to
what
put that underneath your pillow, or how do you
No,
use
so
it?
you put it in airplane mode, so you're not exposed to the Wi-Fi or the EMFs. And once you start, it gives you your little statistics. So it gives you kind of like a little graph of how you slept. So last night I happened to have 100% sleep, which rock star status. Love that. You wake up, you're like, yay! It measures. If you want to get really detailed, it tells you how often you snore. It says 0 minutes, but I know it's not picking up on my dog snoring, which is good. Once you get into like the more detailed stuff, they'll ask you for a premium membership, but I just use it for just time. What I can see there is I can see how many times I get up to go to the bathroom. I can see how long it takes me to fall back to sleep. I can see kind of those trends, especially if you go through phases where you wake up in the middle of the night. Like if you start to see what time of night that is and you start to track, well, what did I eat? Could it be blood sugar? Like it's a good information. It's a good visual.
Yep.
The key is not to take it too much to heart, because if you do have a night where you slept like 80%, you can't get up the next day and be like, oh, I had the worst night's sleep. You know, you have to kind of just go with how you
Right.
feel.
You need to look at the overall.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
one night. Yeah.
But it's such a good app, and in my I've been using that for years, and it's consistent. It's the most consistent I've seen. And the other thing that I'm really addicted to is thanks to my sister. Both my dogs snore, and so I wear earplugs that she gave me from the gun range from her husband. You know, has these earplugs, and I actually found some at Walgreens. Did I just say Pilates? At Walgreens that they sell there. And so I put the earplugs in, and that really, really helped a lot. But
So not technology, but just help to sleep.
this is just earplugs, yeah. But what I did, the technology piece that comes in after, because my dogs persisted and now the second one snores as well, is this one called Rain.
Dog problems.
So this Rain one is kind of like a, it's like a white noise,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
specific to rain. So it has like 20 different types of rain sounds. I mean, it's dripping, it's pouring, it's rain with thunder, it's every kind of rain you can
Yeah.
imagine. And I don't sleep with noise. I've never slept with noise. I can't watch TV, none of that.
Mhm.
And this stuff, I'm like out like
Yeah,
a light
yeah.
with this
Just
app.
calming, yeah.
Yeah, so that, and it's free. This one's free too.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I like for sleeping, and it helps. Obviously, it's getting me much more sound sleep because I'm not waking up with the dogs
Right.
disrupting a lot.
Yeah. So another one that I like is a website that you can sign up to, and they will give you kind of weekly little questionnaires, things for you to think about. It's called soulseekeracademy.com. Soul, S-O-U-L, Seeker, S-E-E-K-E-R, Academy. And it's relatively new, but it's really kind of fun to take the questions that they ask and answer them and kind of think about them. It's really about kind of diving into, you know, the spirit, the soul, what energizes us, what our meaning to life is, and this kind of thing. So that's another one that I really like.
Trying to make sure we didn't miss comments like we did last week.
Oh, yeah. And then one other one that I think is worthwhile. It has nothing at all to do with anything with health, except for that if all the phone calls that we get on our cell phone now from people that are just trying to spam us and scam us and take away our time, it's called Hiya, Hiya, and it will identify if it looks like it's a call from somebody that's not a friend, not
fraud or
fraud, or who's trying to kind of
basically don't answer the call.
Yeah, exactly. If you see the Hiya app, they'll say it looks like a scam or fraud, and then you can easily not answer. For somebody like me, that's helpful because I have to answer the phone because I'm a physician, and sometimes my patients will call me, and sometimes other doctors will call me, and I might not recognize the number, so I can't just not answer if I don't recognize the number. So this is really a useful app for me.
Because they've probably been reported numbers, right?
Yeah. So then and they can kind of tell if it looks like it's been through a whole bunch of these
They're automation.
fraudulent guys. Yeah, they automate it and they go through different cities, and I don't know how they all do it, but this just saves me a lot of aggravation. So I wanted to make sure to mention that one. And the other one that saves me a lot of aggravation is OneSafe, and you use a different one.
1Password.
1Password. And that's to store all of our passwords, right? How many? I've got hundreds actually of passwords for all the things that I need to do.
But it's not just for stored. It actually it creates passwords for you. So all those complex, crazy ones that, it would take us, to think up and let alone remember, it will create them, and you just cut and paste them whenever you're logging into something. So you can go right in and you can do it on your computer.
You can make very complex ones, very secure.
And I have and you can't, your entry for mine is like a phrase. And if you forget your phrase to get in there, you're kind of SOL. You have to reset everything.
Okay. And for me, it's just a thumbprint.
Well, actually, mine has Face ID now because my phone.
Yeah.
But once you're in there, it's really cool. It's very, very, very good for security too. So to give you a lot more complex. And then the one that we both agree was the most important that we haven't mentioned yet is EWG.org.
Yes.
So environmentalworkinggroup.org. There's an app. So there's two things. The EWG.org has everything you can imagine on there with regard to food, skincare, anything, pesticides, guides to GMOs, like all these things that is really helpful.
You absolutely need this for a healthy, to try to avoid, we can't have a toxin-free world, but to try to minimize our toxins, they cover every base. Like you were.
So it's the environmentalworkinggroup.org, EWG, and they have an app called, it used to be called Skin Deep, but now it's called Healthy Living by Skin Deep.
Okay.
And it's also, let me see if I can find it to show you what it looks like.
Yeah.
Here, it's this little E on the top. It looks kind of like a, what are those called? A labyrinth? That little Healthy Living right there. So that will, if you walk around the store, you can actually scan your beauty products and even some foods if you're buying stuff with labels. But the beauty products, it totally tells you the toxic potential.
The parabens, the phthalates, the other chemicals.
Yeah, so it goes through every single ingredient, gives it a grade, and it measures whether it's carcinogenic, if it's going to be something that's cancer causing or endocrine disrupting, or just the allergies, which is usually the fragrance, right? So it's very, very, very good. And it's for someone like me, that was kind of my last part of my evolution with skincare, which a lot of people
Sure,
it's your largest organ, so it's actually really important.
Right, but it is.
But when you don't know, there's hundreds and thousands of chemicals, right? So I would by any means look at a label and not know what I'm reading. So when you do this, it kind of calls out the ones that you want to be avoiding of. And then it gives it a grade. So if you're scoring, I think it's on 1 to 10. If you're scoring like a 2 or a 1, it's obviously going to be better if you're using something that you're putting an 8 or a 9 or something like that on you.
Yeah. And Sam, hey Sam, the one that I like for the storing your fake calls is Hiya, Hiya.
I need to get that one.
It's awesome. Yeah, I really like that one. And then we can just maybe leave, or maybe we can write down because we're kind of getting to the end. We should talk about Audible And then maybe we can leave a list of podcasts that we find really informative and useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Audible is for personal growth. Any type of, some people are really audio listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to listen. I retain a lot of information listening. Audible is for book reading. So it's Audible audio books. Podcast, much like a podcast, it's just more directly reading from the pages of a book versus a podcast, which is more usually interview style or somebody out there teaching something, coaching of some sort. But the Audible,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got several books that way.
Yeah.
And you can just listen to them as you're driving. You can listen to them while you're doing the dishes. It just makes that time, extra useful. And we're all about efficiencies, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And it's a great way to learn, like to just take in more information that's useful. And then what was the other, you said, the podcast, you want to just spout a couple off and then we'll wrap up. And then we'll put them on, on the website in a list form if you want to print up the list and see all the things we talked about tonight. One more for sleep, was the Oura Ring.
Oh, right, the ring.
So it's Oura. I got it. It took about 5 months to get it because it was on such bad back order. I think they're pretty caught up on their production, but it was pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
It measures heart rate variability.
Right.
So it also measures sleep, and it measures your deep sleep, your light sleep. They have like a readiness score, which is based off your heart rate variability. So you could wake up that next day and it might say your body's not prepared for like a hardcore workout.
Okay.
You that's your heart rate variability test. When it comes to heart rate variability in physical exercise, that readiness score is a really important part of that.
How resilient you're going to be that day.
Yeah, and you don't want to be killing your body on a day that your body's not in a good place for that, right? So it'll tell you the more optimal times to what type of workout would be best for you.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. It's the Oura Ring, and it's very designer and chic and fun looking.
It's very cute.
It's not like a fitness tracker or what.
Actually, a couple more. There's so many.
We're run over today.
Quick Brain, KWIK Brain is another app. I think you listen to it more than I, but I listen to some of his. He's got some other podcasts and stuff like this.
Trainings.
Yeah, trainings on how to remember things, how to enhance your
numbers.
Cognition. Mm-hmm. Right. So he's got lots of good stuff, and then the quote of the day show.
The quote of the day show is one of my favorite. It's like kind of just a little morning uplift.
Mm-hmm.
It's always
and you are a good person.
You guys know I'm obsessed with quotes.
We love every day. She puts down a new quote and a little story about it. It's awesome. I love it.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I love listening to just positive, especially in the morning, because you do a little meditation. You're coming off of a sleep, so like you're starting your day completely fresh. And your way of starting it off, for me, if I put something positive in there, it helps me through the whole day think of that thought that I put. So the quote of the day is usually a clip, and it's a quote, but then they show a small clip of the person who spoke it at either an event or a presentation or a training or whatever. And it's usually less than 10 minutes. I listen to it on my way to the gym, which is close by. And it's quick and easy, and it's great. Usually a really great little tidbit story that they tell around the quote, so it's cool.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Quote of the Day show with Sean Croxton.
Okay.
SEAN.
Yep. So let's list just a few podcasts. Why don't you say a few of your favorites?
Podcast favorites. I think we had a lot of I listened to the Doctor's Pharmacy. So that's Dr. Mark Hyman.
Mark Hyman, and his is always excellent. He always interviews great people. The Broken Brain with Drew. That's always interesting, talking about different. He's usually interviewing people about brain-related issues.
And that originated from his series.
Yes, it did, from Dr. Mark Hyman's series. Then The Brain Warrior's Way, which is Dr. Amon's podcast. Josh Axe. He's always got great interviews and good tips. I love Super Soul Sundays with Oprah.
She does great interviews.
Yeah. So uplifting. And then for those who want a little bit more technical stuff, this is really meant for practitioners, but I think a lot of my patients really get into it so deep.
I know,
that
some of them come in
they know more than many practitioners, yeah. But Andrea Nakayama, Nakayama, she does the 15-minute matrix. And that's 15 minutes on a specific topic. And she interviews somebody and dives into deeply. Yeah. She's a nutritionist. She's very good. And yeah, that's those are the key ones that I wrote down. Did you have any other key ones you want to mention?
I'm a big fan of the Model Health Show. You don't have to be a scientist to listen to it. Like, it's very, he really kind of dumbs down things, but he talks a lot about every topic you could possibly imagine. He's got really, really good guests on there. And then Bulletproof Radio is another one. Bulletproof Radio is the guy who invented Bulletproof Coffee. He's for someone who is kind of a layperson in the sense that he's a very big on research, and he kind of crosses his T's and dots his I's, and he has really good guests. Very kind of complex topics sometimes. So like sometimes you'll have to really pay attention, because if you blink, you'll miss some of it. But love his stuff. I listened to podcasts on time and a half.
I was going to mention that, but then I wasn't sure if you want me to tell your trick.
But that's a Jim Quick trick.
Yeah, to listen to it
So the
fast.
Quick Brain, Jim Quick, I've seen him present many times in person, and I did one of his mastermind trainings. So I've worked with him, and he talks very fast. And he talks about there's a purpose behind how your brain actually interprets the information and grabs it, and how you learn from that. It's repetition, but it's also the speed of the conversation. And he teaches how to read faster too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole course on quick reading and increasing your reading speed by 50%, which it works because I did it. So I do listen to it, and it's funny. My sister will get in the car and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "But when I listen to it in normal,
I listened to it on 1.5, and my husband's going, "What are you listening to?" He said, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
But to me, the slow stuff sounds like I'm like pulling the words out. I'm like, "Come on, just say it."
Yeah, but you have to pay attention when they talk really fast.
Yes.
You actually have to focus, and it makes you pay more attention than if they're speaking in a regular tone, which you can easily tune out with whatever is going on in your head.
And if they are, like, there's a couple times I'll be like, "Hold on, I gotta slow this down. This is really good."
Yeah.
My sister said I feel like I'm listening to a Disney Channel.
Right, exactly.
That's a trick, though. It's one of our tricks.
It is another trick. Yeah.
Yes. So, any questions, guys? Like, anybody want to throw something out that you have that's like your favorite little trick or tip or gadget? or,
Share with the group. What's your favorite? And actually, you could have been doing it all the way along. We should.
I know.
We
did in the beginning. I think everyone was just kind of hanging.
But yeah, if you have any awesome ones, Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Do you know her?
No. But I will check it out.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Thanks, Sam. What kind of a podcast is it? What does she talk about?
I think it probably might say, but I can look
Can't
on
we
here
check?
if I hit it. Seymour. Oh, I've learned so much.
Okay.
RONDA.
Yeah, no H. Okay, well, check it out.
Yeah, we'll check it out. I mean, another one that I listen to that I know my sister's a big fan of, it's called Primal Potential.
Oh yeah, there she just wrote it. By Elizabeth Benton. Yes.
She's really, really, really effective at like analogies and tells great stories to make things make sense to people.
Okay.
Really big on mindset, weight, diet. Really, she covers a lot. She covers a lot. She's very, very good. And she just wrote a book called Chasing Cupcakes. That's the one I told you about.
Yeah, you like that. Yeah.
So she I really enjoy. I get a lot out of her delivery.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you guys
Thanks,
for sharing. If you have any other ones you want to share, just write them down. And if you give us a little bit of time, we are going to amalgamate our whole list here and write all these things down.
Yeah,
we'll share it. We'll share it in the notes. We'll share it as a comment. Okay, so that everybody will have that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We went over tonight, guys. So
we
thanks
went
for
way
hanging
over,
in there with us.
yeah. Sorry about that, but we love that you hang in. We love that you guys participate and share your information, and of course pass it on to friends and family that you might find it useful. It might be helpful for their health, their mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. It's all kind of part and parcel of what we're about.
Yeah, we're becoming a gadget nation.
We are a gadget and an app nation.
And a podcast.
Right?
People are learning on the go.
Right? You got to learn where you can, right? It's not just out of books.
Yeah.
Although they're great. Not to say that we'll have to have,
that's my obsession. I do Audible and then I buy the book.
Why don't we have one at some point on all the books
book
that we
club.
read? Yeah.
I want to do a book club.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys. And next week we are talking about intermittent fasting.
Oh.
So remember what that was.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. So next week, save up your questions on intermittent fasting, and we'll dive in deep.
Very cool.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a great night.